The lights in the small Manhattan corner store buzzed above the long line of tired people waiting to pay. The floor was old, the shelves half-stocked, and the air smelled like cheap coffee and cleaning spray. Near the counter, a cashier barely, out of college, fumbled with the receipt, her fingers shaking. I asked for still water, not sparkling. The man in front of her said. His voice wasn't loud, but it was sharp, cold. It sliced through the noise like a knife. I'm sorry, sir, she stammered. You thought wrong, he cut in. He placed the glass bottle on the counter. Not with force, but with finality, like a judge closing a case. The line behind him shifted, uncomfortable, sighs, eye rolls. A few people whispered. Tourists looked confused. Locals stared at their phones, but the man didn't care. He adjusted the cuff of his dark suit, impeccably pressed, not a wrinkle in sight. His silver watch caught the light. His whole body was a picture of control. Sharp jaw, smooth hair. Not a single sign of emotion. He was used to getting what he wanted. Then it happened. Sir, a small voice said behind him. Can you be my daddy? Just for one day? The room froze. Time paused. Even the buzzing lights seemed quieter. The man turned slowly. Standing just a few feet away was a little girl. She couldn't have been more than 6. Curly blonde hair framed her small face. Her hoodie was pink and faded, with a unicorn on the front. Her sneakers were scuffed, and her socks didn't match, one purple, one green, but she stood tall, confident. Like she didn't care about the stares. Like she meant every word. Behind her, a woman rushed forward, panic all over her face. Lily, she gasped. Sweetheart, you can't run off like that. She dropped to her knees, grabbing the girl gently by the shoulders. I'm so sorry, she said, looking up at the man in the suit. She says things sometimes. She didn't mean. Yes, I did, Lily interrupted. Her voice was clear, sure. Tomorrow is Daddy Day at school. Everyone's bringing their daddies. I don't have one, but I thought maybe you could help? The man blinked out. He forgot about the water. Forgot about the line. Forgot about the meeting he was already late for. Something in that child's eyes held him in place. They weren't scared. They weren't begging. They were full of hope he hadn't seen in years. He looked at the woman again. She was still kneeling, her hands on her daughter's shoulders. Her hair was tied back in a loose braid. She looked tired. Not just long day tired. Deep tired. The kind that lives in your bones. The kind you carry when you fought too many silent battles. Her coat was old. Her shoes were worn down. Her eyes held the weight of someone who'd learned how to survive with nothing and still find ways to smile. I'm so sorry, she repeated. We'll go. She didn't mean, wait. The word left his mouth before he could stop it. Both. Mother and daughter froze. He took a breath. His voice came out softer than before. Almost unsure. Your daughter, he said slowly. What's her name? Lily Grace, the woman replied, her voice small. He nodded, then looked at the little girl again. I'm Victor. She smiled, a real open smile. The kind that made the fluorescent lights in that dingy store seem warm. I work at the library. In the afternoons, the woman said quickly. And at night, I waitress. We're not asking for anything, I swear. She misses something she never had. Victor finished for her. He didn't know why he said it. Maybe it was the way Lily was now staring at the buttons on his suit jacket, touching one like it was made of gold. Or maybe it was the way her mother hadn't begged, hadn't explained too much, hadn't tried to make it about anything but the truth. She had nothing to offer him, except honesty. Victor hadn't had that in years. What time is Daddy Day? He asked. The woman blinked. Her mouth fell open. 10 but you really don't have to. I'll be there. Just like that. One sentence, one promise. The people in line were still watching. Some with surprise, some with disbelief, but Victor didn't care. He didn't even realize he was smiling just a little until Lily grinned back up at him and said, "You'll need a schedule." "I don't like chaos." Victor laughed, and just like that, the man who had never cracked a smile in public walked out of that store not with still water, but with a new plan. Tomorrow he would be someone's daddy. If only for one day. And somewhere deep inside, something told him one day might not be enough. The next morning arrived like any other New York morning, fast, noisy, and impatient. But something felt different. The usual rhythm of power suits and car horns didn't settle right with Victor. He stood at his closet longer than he had in years, buttoning a light blue shirt instead of the usual stark white. No tie. He didn't know why. Maybe because it didn't feel like a tie kind of day. For the first time in a decade, Victor Sterling wasn't heading to a boardroom. He was heading to an elementary school. Outside Roosevelt Elementary, clusters of children bounced around like excited pinballs, tugging on their father's arms, showing off drawings, laughing too loudly. It was a scene Victor had never allowed himself to imagine. He stood near the front gate, checking the time on his watch out of habit. 10 a.m. sharp. Then he saw her. Lily came skipping down the sidewalk like a burst of sunshine in sneakers. Her little backpack bounced behind her, and her blonde curls had been tied up into lopsided pigtails. A crooked yellow ribbon bobbed as she ran toward him. "You came!" she yelled. Victor smiled, just a little. "Of course I did." Lily stopped in front of him, out of breath, beaming. "You didn't forget," she said, her voice filled with awe, if people often did. "I said I would," he replied, "and I don't like to break promises." From behind, her mother Sophia walked up, holding a paper cup of coffee in one hand, a worried look in the other. "You really showed up," she said, clearly still processing it. "I really did." Sophia hesitated, scanning him like she wasn't sure what to make of this man. Then she gave a small nod, as if she'd decided to let the moment be what it was, something good. Inside the school, the chaos began immediately. Dozens of little hands pulled parents in every direction. Finger paint stations, puppet corners, juice boxes, paper hats. It was everything Victor Sterling didn't understand and had avoided his entire life. Lily didn't give him a chance to feel uncomfortable. She grabbed his hand like it belonged there and dragged him straight to her desk. "This is my seat," she said proudly. "And that's my best friend, Mia. She brought her daddy too, but he talks a lot about stocks. Do you talk about stocks?" Victor blanked. "Sometimes. Don't. It's boring." He laughed. For the next hour, Lily led him through a whirlwind of activity. They painted rainbows together. Victor's looked more like a bar graph. She shook her head and fixed it with her fingers, smearing blue into orange. "It's okay to color outside the lines," she whispered. "That's where the fun is." He looked at the smudged mess and strangely felt proud of it. At another table, Lily made him a crown purple construction paper, glitter glue, and silver star stickers. She placed it carefully on his head and stepped back. "You look like royalty," she said. Victor, who had once been called the king of Midtown mergers in a financial magazine, had never felt so truly crowned. Other dads glanced his way, some curious, some confused. But none of it mattered. Lily was proud of him. That was enough. Then came story time. The children gathered in a circle. One by one, they shared something about their dads. Some talked about fishing, others about pancakes or bedtime stories. Some giggled. A few got shy. Then Lily stood. "My daddy," she began, clear and strong, "makes time for me." Victor froze. She wasn't reading from a card. These were her words. Her truth. "He wears a suit, but he's still painted with me. He didn't laugh at my crown. He showed up when I asked. Just like a real dad." Sophia, standing by the door, pressed a hand to her chest. She hadn't heard Lily talk like this in months. Victor blinked hard. Something burned behind his eyes. "He listens to me," Lily said, turning to look at him. Even when I talk too much. Even when I make a mess. Her voice dropped, softer now. And even though he didn't know me before yesterday, he made me feel like I matter. Silence settled over the room. Even the teacher looked moved. Victor felt something shift in his chest. Not a crack, but an opening. Lily sat down beside him again and leaned her head against his arm like she'd done it 1,000 times. He didn't move. Didn't speak. He just stayed. After the event, they stood by the school's gate again. Thank you, Sophia sighed quietly. You made her feel seen? She did the same for me, he replied. She didn't answer, but her eyes said everything. Lily skipped ahead, swinging her backpack like it was weightless. Victor watched her, feeling something foreign settle in his chest. Peace. Not the kind that came from success or silence, but the kind that came from doing something that actually mattered. As they walked away from the school, Lily turned back and asked, Can we get ice cream, Daddy? Just for today. Victor looked at Sophia. Sophia looked at him. And without thinking twice, he said, Let's make it a triple scoop kind of day. And just like that, the man who had once built walls to keep people out found himself coloring outside the lines with a little girl who had decided that one day might not be enough. Victor Sterling had eaten in the finest restaurants in the world. Private rooftops in Tokyo, candlelit balconies in Rome. He had never once booked a table for 3 at a family diner in Midtown Manhattan until now. The place wasn't fancy. Booths lined with red leather. A waitress with tired eyes and a warm smile. The kind of place where menus were sticky and kids' meals came with crayons. But when he saw Lily's face light up at the giant milkshake glass being placed in front of her, he knew he was exactly where he needed to be. This, Lily said, sticking her straw into the whipped cream, is the best day of my life. Victor smiled across the table at Sophia. She hadn't touched her food yet. Her fingers were wrapped around a coffee mug, her body still slightly pulled back, like she wasn't sure how close she was allowed to sit in a world like his. You don't have to do all this, she said, finally breaking the silence. We didn't expect anything. Victor looked at Lily, now dipping fries into her milkshake like it was the most natural thing in the world. Maybe I needed it more than you did, he said softly. Sophia didn't answer, but her eyes lingered. On him longer this time, Lily reached into her tiny backpack and pulled out a folded sheet of paper. I made this. Victor took it with careful hands. The crayon lines were shaky but full of heart. 3 stick figures stood under a huge yellow sun. One had a suit, one had long hair, and the third had pigtails and was holding both their hands. Above them, written in bright red letters, were 2 words, My family. Victor stared at the paper. Something caught in his throat. It's us, Lily explained proudly. I drew it in class today. The sun is extra big because you make me feel warm. Sophia reached for her water, trying to hide the shine in her eyes. Victor didn't speak for a long moment. His thumb traced the paper's edge. Then he said something he hadn't said to anyone in years. I had a son once. The words landed like a whisper across the table. Sophia looked up slowly. Michael, Victor said. He was 5. Curious about everything. Airplanes, stars, dinosaurs. One morning, he begged me to come to his class. Bring your dad to school. I told him I had a meeting in Tokyo. I promised I'd come next time. His voice cracked just slightly. There was no next time. Sophia sat frozen. Even Lily seemed to go still, sensing the weight of the moment. They were hit by a drunk driver, Victor said, quieter now. My wife and son. 6 blocks from the school. They died instantly. He was holding a drawing he made of me. He didn't look up. I wasn't there, he added. I've lived with that silence ever since. The silence of bedtime stories never told, of birthdays missed, of tiny hands I never got to hold again. Sophia reached across the table, not with pity, but with something deeper, understanding. I'm sorry, she whispered. Victor nodded slowly. I've built walls around myself so high that no one could climb them, until today. Lily, unaware of the full story but aware. Something mattered, leaned across the table. She touched his hand. You can be my daddy, she said softly. If you want. Victor looked at her. This little girl with mismatched socks, the heart of a lion, and eyes too wide for this tired world. She had no idea what her offer meant, or maybe she did, just for today. He whispered. Lily grinned. Forever sounds better, she said. Sophia laughed under her breath, shaking her head. She doesn't really know what forever means yet. Victor glanced at the crayon drawing again. Neither did I, he replied. They walked out of the diner into the cool evening air. The city lights flickered like stars across the concrete sky. Victor carried Lily on his shoulders while Sophia walked beside them. The night felt too quiet to belong to. Manhattan. It felt like something else. Like a beginning. Not perfect. Not planned. But real. Victor had made millions solving problems, closing deals, restructuring broken things, but for the first time in his life, he didn't want to fix anything. He just wanted to be here. Present. With this girl, with her mother, with this tiny drawing tucked in his coat pocket like a promise. They reached the subway entrance. Sophia turned to him, her eyes cautious. Are you sure you want to be involved in this? Victor didn't answer with words. He knelt down, took Lily's hand and said, I don't just want to show up. I want to stay. Sophia looked at him, really looked, and in her eyes, for the first time, was something that had never been there before. Hope. Not the kind that rushed in, but the kind that stayed. The next few days moved like they belonged to someone else's life. Victor kept showing up. Man who used to schedule breakfast meetings at dawn and worked through weekends was now texting Sophia mid-afternoon just to ask if Lily liked banana muffins or blueberry more. He even sent her a photo of 2 muffins in a bag, asking which one. Lily would smile at. Sophia had stared at that picture for a long time, unsure how to respond. It felt like being seen, and that scared her more than being ignored. One Thursday afternoon, she folded her apron at the end of her diner shift, rubbing a grease stain off the front with the heel of her hand. The day had been long and her legs ached, but there was something light in her chest, a kind of quiet joy. Until the manager stepped beside her. He didn't look her in the eye. Clipboard in hand, voice clipped. I'm not looking for drama. He started, but this won't work anymore. Sophia paused, confused. What do you mean? He sighed. The man you brought in. People talk. You sat with him in uniform. Customers mentioned things. He's Lily's. She paused, searching for the right word. He came for school day. That's all. The manager still didn't look at her. Doesn't matter. Word reached upstairs. Someone realized he owns the building. Now it looks like you're working an angle. I'm not, she said, panic rising in her chest. I didn't even know. Perception is reality in this business. He cut in. It's better if we end things now. Just like that. Years of hard work gone in a sentence. No hearing. No second chance. Sophia walked home with her coat clutched tightly around her. Her hands were shaking. She didn't even have the strength to cry. She found Lily at the bus stop, coloring inside the edges of a notebook, waiting for her like she always did. Hi, Mommy, she said cheerfully. Did you have a good day? Sophia smiled. A tired, cracked version of a smile. It's over now. They sat side by side on the cold metal bench, streetlights flickering above them. Sophia tried to breathe, tried to hold it in. But the knot in her throat wouldn't go away. Mommy, Lily whispered, sensing something was wrong. Are we in trouble again? No, baby, she said softly. Not trouble, just tired. Then came the headlights. A black car pulled up quietly, like it belonged to the night. Before the engine even stopped, Victor stepped out. No coat. No driver, no delay. He crossed the street with purpose and knelt in front of Lily. Hey, he said gently. You okay? She nodded, and her face brightened like he'd flipped a switch inside her. Victor turned to Sophia. What happened? Sophia opened her mouth, then closed it. She didn't want to sound dramatic. Didn't want to sound like someone who needed rescuing. She lowered her eyes. I got fired. Victor's voice was low, but there was steel beneath it. Because of me? She didn't answer. He looked down, his hands tightening into fists. Come with me, he said. Where? Somewhere that understands your worth. Sophia wanted to argue. Wanted to tell him that she didn't need saving. But the truth was, she was exhausted. And Lily was now gripping both their hands like she belonged in the space between them. 3 days later, she stood in the lobby of the Sterling Foundation. Warm wood, quiet lighting, and soft music filled the space. It felt nothing like the cold. Skyscrapers Victor ruled. This place felt human. Lily had run ahead. Her small shoes slapped the marble floor with excitement. Daddy! She called. Victor turned from the elevator, catching her in his arms midair. Her laugh echoed through the lobby. She clung to his neck, smiling like she'd found home. Sophia watched them, hesitant at first. Victor turned to her. I want you. Here. Her eyebrows raised. What? As my personal assistant for the foundation. We help real people here. People like you used to be. People still trying to climb out of hard places. Sophia's voice was careful. I don't want charity. This isn't charity, he said. It's trust. I need someone who sees people, not just numbers. She hesitated, then looked at Lily. Her daughter was now holding Victor's hand in hers, swinging them back and forth. Sophia nodded. Okay. Victor smiled, not the one he used in boardrooms. A different one. The one that only Lily had pulled from him so far. Lily tugged on both of them. So does this mean we're a team now? Victor crouched beside her. Yes, a team. Forever team? He looked at Sophia. She looked at him, and then he answered the only way that felt right. Forever. And for real. The house was quiet that Friday evening, except for the clinking of plates in the sink, and Lily's soft humming in the living room. Victor had just finished folding her favorite blanket pink with stars and placed it gently over the armrest of the couch. Across the room, Sophia was reading something on her phone, her eyebrows pinched with quiet focus. It felt normal, domestic, almost like they'd always been this way, until Lily pushed her plate away. I don't feel good, she said softly. Sophia turned immediately. Your tummy again? Lily nodded, curling into herself. Victor crossed the room in 2 steps. Do you feel hot? Sophia pressed the back of her hand to Lily's forehead. Oh no, she whispered. She's burning up. Within an hour, the fever had climbed past 103. Sophia was in full mother mode, cool washcloths, checking her phone for symptoms, calling the pediatrician. Her movements were fast but calm. Practiced. She had clearly done this before. Victor stood just behind her, helpless. He could close billion-dollar deals, negotiate contracts across continents. But now, standing in his own home with a 6-year-old curled up on the couch, he felt completely out of his depth. I'll go get more ice, he offered. Sophia nodded without looking up. He returned with a bowl and a towel and set them down beside her. Lily whimpered in her sleep. Victor's hands clenched. He sat down beside her, unsure if he should even be this close. Her small body looked so fragile, like one wrong word could make her worse. Then Lily stirred. Her eyes fluttered open. Her skin was pale and damp. Her voice, when it came, was barely a whisper. Don't leave me, too. Daddy. Victor stopped. Breathing, he stared at her, his entire body still. She didn't say it like she was pretending. She didn't say it like it was a game. She said it like it was true, like he was her daddy, like she believed it with everything she had. His hand moved slowly to brush the damp curls from her forehead. His fingers trembled. I'm here, he whispered, voice thick with emotion. I'm not going anywhere. He stayed like that the whole night, didn't move. Didn't sleep. Just held her, rocked her, spoke to her in soft promises he didn't know he was capable of making. Sophia had dozed off briefly in the chair across from them. When she woke around sunrise, she found Victor still in the rocking chair, Lily asleep in his arms. His shirt was soaked with sweat and tears, but his hands were steady. His eyes were open, watching her. "She's cooler," he whispered, voice raw. "Fever broke." Sophia crossed the room silently. She knelt beside them, checking Lily's forehead for herself. Victor looked at her. "She called me Daddy." "I heard," Sophia said softly. "I didn't correct her. I didn't want to either." Their eyes met. Something passed between them. Not a promise. Not yet. But something close. That evening, when Lily was finally strong enough to sit up and sip warm tea, Victor cooked for them for the first time. He burned the toast. He overboiled the pasta. But when he placed the plate in front of Lily, she smiled like he'd just delivered a royal feast. "This is the best spaghetti ever," she said with a tiny voice. Victor looked at Sophia across the table. She laughed, shaking her head. "She lies when she loves someone," she whispered. Victor smiled. "I'll take it." After dinner, Lily curled into Victor's side on the couch, thumb in her mouth, eyes drooping. "Read to me." Victor picked up the nearest book and opened to the first page. His voice wasn't smooth. He tripped over the silly voices, got confused by the dialogue, but Lily didn't seem to mind. She fell asleep halfway through. Sophia sat nearby, hands folded in her lap, just watching them. "She trusts you now," she said softly. Victor nodded. "That scares me. Because you don't want to break it. Because I don't know how to deserve it." Sophia stood, walked over, and sat beside him. "Victor," she said gently, "you're not the man who left his son behind anymore." He looked down. "You're the man who stayed all night for a little girl who believes in you." Silence. Then, in the quiet, Sophia reached out and placed her hand over his. He didn't pull away. Outside the window, the city moved like it always had. Taxis, horns, people in a rush. But in that small apartment, time had stopped. 3 people. One couch. And a silence that didn't feel empty anymore. It felt full. Full of something that might one day be called love. They didn't see him coming, not in their quiet new routine of library visits, spaghetti dinners, and bedtime stories. Not in the way Victor now came home earlier just to hear Lily talk about her day in dizzying detail. Not in the way Sophia had begun leaving one extra mug of coffee beside Victor's seat every morning. They had built something delicate, real, but quiet. So when the knock came on a Sunday morning, it shattered everything. Sophia opened the door to find Daniel Morrison, her late husband's older brother, standing on the front porch in a gray suit, holding a manila envelope. He looked like a lawyer, not family. "You've been busy," he said, scanning the apartment over her shoulder. "Without invitation." "Nice place. Expensive." Victor stepped into the hallway behind her, his presence immediate. Daniel's eyes narrowed. "So it's true." Sophia stepped between them, heart pounding. "What are you doing here?" she asked. Daniel's smile was cold. "Filing for custody." The envelope dropped into her hands like a weight. Inside, legal paperwork. The ink still smelled fresh. "You can't be serious," Sophia whispered. "I am," he replied. "This little fantasy letting some corporate billionaire play house with my niece, it ends now. Lily is blood. That still matters in court." "She doesn't even know you," Victor said quietly. "And yet," Daniel snapped, "you're not family either. I'm her legal next of kin." Sophia stood frozen in the doorway, her fingers tightening on the envelope. Lily was in the next room, humming to herself, unaware of the storm that had just entered their lives. The court date came. Fast. Too fast. The courtroom felt colder than Sophia expected. High ceilings, wooden benches, no warmth, no comfort. Just Law. Daniel sat with confidence at the petitioner's table, his suit perfect, his lawyer beside him. He looked like the kind of man who read the rules carefully, then used them like weapons. Victor sat beside Sophia and Lily at the defendant's table. He wasn't in a business suit today. Just a simple sweater and slacks, no pretense. No armor. Just him. The judge entered, gray-haired and stern. The courtroom rose, then settled. Mr. Morrison, the judge began, you may speak. Daniel stood smoothly. Your Honor, I come before you today as a blood relative of Lily Grace. Her father, my brother, is gone. Her mother is struggling. And this man, he gestured at Victor, has no legal connection to this child. He met them recently, inserted himself into their lives, and is now playing a father figure role with no accountability. He let the words settle. The child needs stability, he added. She needs family. Victor's jaw tightened, but he said nothing. Sophia wanted to speak, but the lawyer had advised them to wait. Let the court ask questions first. Then came the judge's voice. Miss Sophia, do you contest Mr. Morrison's petition? Yes, Your Honor, she said firmly. He has never visited, never called, never helped. And Lily doesn't even recognize him. And the man beside you? The judge asked. Sophia looked at Victor, then back at the judge. He's shown up every day. He's never missed a moment. And she calls him Daddy. The judge raised an eyebrow. Interesting. Is the child present? Yes, Sophia whispered. Then came the moment no one expected. Lily stood up. Tiny. Barely. Reaching above the table's edge. The courtroom went still. The judge looked at her, surprised. Do you want to say something, sweetheart? Lily nodded. I already have a daddy, she said. The room didn't move. My daddy reads to me, she continued, her voice clear. He stayed all night when I was sick. He braids my hair wrong, but still tries. He comes to school when I ask. He doesn't yell. He listens. Victor looked down at the table, his hands shaking. Lily turned to Daniel. I don't know you, she said. You never came when I was sad, or when Mommy cried. You weren't there. She turned back to the judge, but he was. Her finger pointed at Victor. I picked him, she said simply, and that was it. Tears streamed down Sophia's face. Victor's heart slammed against his chest like a drum. Even the judge looked moved. He cleared his throat. Thank you, Lily. You were very brave. She sat back down, calm as ever, sliding her small hand into Victor's palm like she'd always belonged there. The judge shuffled papers, looked around the room, and spoke clearly. In light of the testimony and the proven emotional bond between the child and Mr. Sterling, the court denies Mr. Morrison's petition for custody. A sob broke from Sophia's throat. Daniel stood slowly, lips pressed in a tight line, and left without a word. Victor didn't speak. He COULDN, single quotes T. He simply turned to Lily, wrapped his arms around her, and whispered, Thank you. You showed up, she said quietly. That's all I needed. The snow had just started to fall again. Not the messy kind that stuck to boots and fur's windshields, but the soft, quiet kind that made the city glow. From the window of their apartment, Lily pressed her nose to the cold glass, drawing tiny. Hearts in the condensation. Inside, warmth filled the room, not just from the space heater, but from the life they'd built together. Sophia stood at the stove, stirring soup. Her hair was tied up in a loose bun, and she hummed the same lullaby Lily used to sing to herself when no one was around to hear. Victor entered the room from the hallway, holding a wrapped box in his hands. Lily turned. What's that? He smiled, walking over to kneel beside her. It's for you. Her eyes widened. Is it a toy? Or candy? Or a book? Open it and see. She peeled back the wrapping paper with her tiny fingers. Inside was a small velvet box. She gasped before even opening it. Victor nodded. Go on. She flipped the box open. Inside was a silver necklace, simple and beautiful. Hanging from the chain was a single word. Engraved in delicate script. Forever. Lily didn't say anything for a long moment. Then, quietly, "Is this for real?" Victor reached out and tucked a curl behind her ear. "You taught me what family means," he said softly. "And I want you to know that no matter what happens, no matter where life takes us, you will always have me." Her arms flew around his neck, the necklace still in her hand. She squeezed him like she never wanted to let go. "Forever and ever," she whispered. Victor closed his eyes. "Forever and ever." When he stood up, Sophia was watching from the kitchen. Tears in her eyes, but not the kind born from pain this time. He walked over to her, reached into his coat pocket, and pulled out a second box. This one was smaller. Her breath caught before she even saw what was inside. "Sophia," he began, voice trembling but sure. "You walked into my life when I didn't even realize I was searching for something. You didn't try to fix me. You just stayed. You stayed when I had nothing but regrets. You stayed when I didn't know how to be soft. You saw me and you didn't run." She covered her mouth with one hand, already shaking her head in disbelief. "I don't want temporary. I don't want polite or perfect or planned. I want this, our mess, our joy, our second chance. I want morning hair and late dinners and arguing about laundry. I want Lily's drawings on the fridge and your coat on the back of my chair." He opened the box. Inside, a ring. Simple, no flash. "Just real. I want to be your family," he said, his voice breaking. "Will you marry me?" Sophia's tears fell before the word even left her mouth. "Yes," she whispered, then again stronger this time. "Yes. Yeah, of course." Lily clapped her hands, spinning in a circle. "Can I be the flower girl? Can I wear a pretty dress? Can we have a giant cake?" Victor laughed, taking Sophia's hand and pulling her close. "You can have whatever you want," he said. "I want to be your daughter," Lily declared. Victor knelt again. "Then you already are." The wedding was small, not because they couldn't afford big, but because they didn't need big. In a sunlit chapel decorated with candles and laughter, surrounded by a few close friends and neighbors, they said their vows. Lily walked down the aisle first, tossing petals like confetti. She wore a white dress with silver shoes that squeaked when she walked. Victor stood waiting in a charcoal gray suit, not cold and corporate this time, but warm and alive. His hands didn't shake, his heart didn't race in fear. For once, he felt completely steady. Sophia entered the room to a quiet gasp. Her dress was ivory, flowing like a second skin. Her smile was soft, unsure, but filled with something he'd only ever seen in her eyes when she looked at Lily. The vows weren't perfect. They weren't memorized or practiced, but they were true. "I didn't know how to love until you showed me," Victor said. "You made space for us when we didn't even ask for it," Sophia replied. Lily stood between them during the whole ceremony, holding both their hands, beaming like she had been the one to plan it all. And maybe she had. When the minister pronounced them husband and wife, Victor didn't just kiss Sophia, he reached down, picked Lily up and spun her around in one arm while holding Sophia with the other. The guests laughed. Victor cried. Lily shouted, "Best day ever." That night, they danced in their living room. No music. Just the rhythm of laughter and new beginnings. Outside, the snow kept falling, covering the city in soft white. Inside, Victor held his wife and daughter close. This wasn't the life he'd planned. It wasn't the life he thought he deserved. It was better. Because it was real. Because it was chosen. Because it was built, not on blood or business, but on love. The kind of love that shows up, that stays. That becomes a promise, spoken not once, but every single day. Forever and for real.